It is Sunday, April 19th, 2026. The markets reopen in about 6 hours. So the oil price dropped on Friday based on this strait being reopened briefly. Iran had agreed to reopen the strait, but then Trump decided it was more important to make sure they don't get a nuclear weapon than it was to keep oil prices down. And so he kept the blockade. And so Iran said, well, obviously, if you're going to blockade, we're going to just close the strait again. So he actually had a chance to have things move in the right direction, which, of course, is the direction of peace and free trade, and just decided that's not what he wants to serve. So just like the protection of the Epstein files, it appears that he still wants to serve death. I think I heard him talk and he said something about, there's nothing I could do to gain God's favor at this point. But even if that's true, you probably ought to work to diminish your the punishment you're going to face in hell. Because at this point, it's probably pretty fucking substantial. That would be my guess. But anyway, if he doesn't serve death, he's just an idiot. And the strait's going to remain shut. So, and this, they keep making these gestures, like they keep saying like, we want this ceasefire, but then they keep doing things to violate this, whether it was having Israel continue striking Lebanon or now this blockade. Because obviously you just want war, you just want death, you just want oil to not flow. And that's what you're going to get. So then he comes out now, he said, we're going to go back to the negotiating table on Monday. But of course, it's like if they wanted peace, if they wanted the strait open, first of all, they wouldn't have started the war in the first place. They wouldn't have violated the ceasefire with Lebanon, and then they wouldn't have freaking had this blockade. So, the problem is there's a couple problems. One problem is that we've got this guy who's just trying to escalate things. He's trying to avoid peace, and he's trying to avoid the free flow of oil and other commodities. The other problem is that these commodity flows have already been restricted for more than 6 weeks. So even if it all reopened today, that is still going to hit the markets, because the derivative market has been trading based on rhetoric and based on narratives and feelings. But eventually, you actually need to be able to deliver the barrels of oil at the price that the contract says that you will deliver them at. And the barrels just aren't going to be there. So eventually, and when I say eventually, I don't think this isn't like silver, where this inventories can be drained for years, while price is artificially lower than it would be if quantity supplied equaled quantity demanded. But with oil, it flows fast, it burns fast, and it won't take much longer, I don't believe, for the physical market to overcome the paper market, and for oil to spike dramatically. And regionally, we're already seeing this in various places. Oil at 150, 200, depending where you are. And of course, when that happens regionally, this is now an arbitrage opportunity. Well, it's still cheap in America. Let's ship some barrels to wherever it's more expensive and close that arbitrage and make some profit, like I explained in another recent video. So when we open this market today, the question is, how much. Obviously, when people figured out the blockade's still in effect and the strait is still being shut from Iran's side, that's going to move the derivative market up because people are going to trade the expectation of an oil crisis. But, will this comment, oh, we're going to negotiate tomorrow? I mean, to those of us who just realize that politicians are always full of shit, and that this regime wants nothing seemingly but death and violence, it's obvious to us that this is BS, just an attempt to manipulate the market. That doesn't mean it's not going to work in the short term, because people have a lot of faith in the governments that they support. So, most people, they turn on, if their team blue, it's, CNN. If their team Trump, it's Fox News. And they just believe what they're told, and they don't check any other source. They don't listen to any dissenting opinions, and they believe what they're told to believe. So this kind of rhetoric can briefly put a cap on how high oil rises. So if I was to guess, we got all the way down to 85 on Friday. I would guess it goes back to about 100 on the open. I think we're going to see a pretty big spike based on the fact that it is shut, even though there is this promise now for additional negotiations. What will that do to silver is a really good question. We've seen when this happens, there's been this trade, oil up, bond yields up, risk assets down, precious metals down. Because people, as bond yields rise, liquidity tightens, people need to raise cash, and metal's an easy thing to sell. So we've seen that, but we've also seen an underlying bid due to diminishing silver stocks. So, it's really hard to predict the metals movements in the short term because you just don't know which. There will come a point, even if oil spikes, let's say it spikes to 200 because people finally figure out that Trump's full of crap and wants nothing but death and destruction and the strait's not reopening. If it goes up to 200, it's metals get sold off originally for the liquidity crisis, but pretty soon after that, people start realizing that they need a safe haven because the bond market's collapsing, and the currency's collapsing. So gold becomes the default safe haven. And when gold rises, that creates a bid for silver on an investment level. So eventually, metals rise regardless of rhetoric and regardless of oil prices. But in the short term, we could see some more short-term sell-off. So if you got your ounces, keep them where you got them. I recommend private vaults. I think you should spread them across multiple vaults. If you can spread them across multiple jurisdictions, that's good. Although, if you have local vaults, I think you should also utilize those because they're easily accessible when you need them. You might have noticed this. I got this splint on my arm from my bike crash the other day. I got some x-rays done. They didn't see any fractures, but the wrist fractures can be hidden on the x-ray. So it's kind of a precautionary thing, and I do still have pain. So hopefully it's just a sprain or a bruise, and it'll clear up soon. I've also got a big bandage on my leg from where I had my road rash. But, bandaging wounds is a good skill to gain, to practice. If you're a prepper, which you should be. It's not just knowing how to bandage the wound, but it's knowing what supplies you need and stocking up on those supplies too. Knowing you're going to need something, basically three things you need. You need the patch or whatever to put over the wound, the bandage to put around it, and then tape. These are the big things. So I've had an opportunity to stock up on some of that stuff. Went to Walgreens yesterday, pharmacy, and it's just crazy to me that half the stuff they sell in there is either booze or sugary snacks, potato chips, just stuff that's awful for your health. And I guess maybe it works out for them because people go buy junk food and then they get high blood pressure and diabetes and heart disease, and now they need a bunch of medications. So now they go to the pharmacy side and get themselves balanced out, I guess. Suns are in the playoffs. They're the 8th seed. No one thinks they have a chance. Well, a few people do, and I'm one of them. So yeah, I don't know. There's your market update. There's my life update, I guess. I mean, I'm thinking about, well, I got some big changes coming with my living situation here in about 6 weeks. And I'm going to have to probably make some other adjustments to make that work. But if you've been looking for me at the poker table, you may see me back there pretty soon. I had kind of resolved to take off because I didn't want to hold the cash if I wasn't going to be playing a lot. And so I thought, well, I'll just not keep a cash bankroll, and that way I can just focus on my projects. But I miss playing, and I enjoy poker. I think it's a good opportunity to interact with people, and there's a lot of emotions and stuff that go on. It's an interesting environment, and I think it's one I can find a place for, even if I'm not fully done with the projects I hope to complete. I mean, tax season's over now, so I have a little more time than what I had. And I think I can find a balance where I'm working on my project some of the time, but also playing some poker. So if you've been missing me, it shouldn't be too much longer now. it's a bummer to have this bum knee and wrist. It's kind of inhibiting what I can do. I had a knee issue even before, so I was trying to rest, but hopefully in a few days I can get back to doing some of the exercise and stuff I've been doing, because that's been doing me a lot of good. And it's been enjoyable too, man. I mean, just going out on my bike, not really being around people, just kind of just being around the city. I mean, the city, it's so empty, man. It's so empty of people, even though there's all these people in these houses and in these cars and in these buildings. When you're actually driving around or riding around the suburbs on your bike, it's like you see so few people. Um, it's like you got this world to yourself almost. And it's a cool thing. And I know not to try to get up on any curbs from the wrong angle anymore. Hopefully avoid additional falls. I do recommend a bike helmet if you're gonna ride, because I mean, I fell. When you fall off that thing, you don't have a lot of time. If you're going fast, you don't have a lot of time to figure out about how you're gonna land, and it's easy to go over the handlebars, hit your head. I got a hard head, but it's been hit a lot of times. I can't take any more blows to the head in this life. So, um, I guess that's all I got for you, man. Hope everyone's great, man. And thanks to that guy who gave me that like essay reply on my last video. Um, Hopefully he gets a book, leaves a review. All right, later, man.